friends. Let's read this book together. It's called 101 Dalmatians. Pongo, Perdita and their 15 puppies lived in a cosy little house in London. Their humans lived there too. Roger, who was tall and thin and played the piano, and Anita, who laughed a lot. They all got along splendidly and were very happy. One day the doorbell rang and in came Cruella de Vil, Anita's old friend from school. "How marvellous," Cruella said, stroking the puppies' soft fur. "I'll take them all, the whole litter." "I'm afraid we can't give them up," gasped Anita. "Poor Perdita, she'd be heartbroken." "Don't be ridiculous," said Cruella. "You can't possibly afford to keep them." "We are not selling the puppies," replied Roger, "and that's final." Furious, Cruella stomped out of the house. One frosty night, a few weeks later, Pongo and Perdita went for their evening walk with Roger and Anita. The puppies were at home, asleep, in their basket. Suddenly, two men burst into the house. They put all the puppies into a big bag. Then they carried it out to their truck and sped away. After being in the truck for what seemed like hours, the 15 puppies found themselves in a room filled with other Dalmatian puppies. On a couch in front of a television set were the two nasty men who kidnapped them. The other Dalmatians told them that the men worked for Cruella de Vil, who had bought the puppies from pet stores. Back at home, Pongo and Perdita were horrified to find their puppies missing. Pongo heard Roger tell Anita he suspected Cruella de Vil had stolen the puppies. "Perdy, I'm afraid it's all up to us," said Pongo. "We'll have to send out an alert using the twilight bark." The twilight bark was a system of long and short barks used by dogs to pass along news. The next evening, Pongo and Perdita barked long and loud while on their walk with Roger and Anita. They wanted all the dogs in London to be on the lookout for their puppies. Pongo waited for somebody to answer his barks. It was a very cold night and most dogs were inside. Then Perdita added her bark to Pongo's, and at last they heard a reply. It came from a Great Dane who relayed the message to every other dog within barking range. That night, the twilight bark even reached a quiet farm, where an old sheepdog known as Colonel lay sleeping. "Colonel, sir," shouted Sergeant Tibbs, a cat who lived on the farm. He had to let the Colonel know about the vital message coming in. The Colonel lifted one shaggy ear to listen to the faint message. "It's from London. 15 spotted puddles stolen. Puppies," he cried. "2 nights past I heard a puppy barking," Tibbs said, remembering as he pointed to the de Vil mansion. The Colonel barked a message back to London. Then he told Tibbs, "I suppose we'd better investigate." They headed straight for the gloomy de Vil mansion. Tibbs held on tight to the Colonel's back as he rushed through the snow. Once they arrived, Tibbs climbed onto the Colonel's shoulders and head. He peeked through an open window. "Psst! Are you one of the 15 stolen puppies?" he asked a little puppy without a collar. "They're over there," said the puppy. The men heard the noise and went to investigate. Tibbs and the Colonel ran away, but not before promising to get help. The next morning, Cruella de Vil arrived. "It's got to be done tonight," she cried. "You couldn't get a half-dozen coats out of the whole caboodle?" complained one of her men, pointing to the puppies. "Then we'll settle for half a dozen," said Cruella, "but do it." She dashed out and roared off in her car. Sergeant Tibbs and the Colonel had returned just in time to hear Cruella give the order. "Hey kids, you'd better get out of here if you want to save your skins," Tibbs whispered. Then he shoved one of the puppies towards a hole in the wall. One by one, the other puppies followed. Suddenly, the two thugs saw the puppies escaping. The chase was on. Tibbs and the puppies scooted through the dark halls of the mansion. Soon, they were trapped at a dead end. The thugs raised their clubs to strike. At that moment, Pongo and Perdita crashed through the window with a blast of glass and freezing air. They fought off the surprised men as all the puppies scampered to safety. Once the dogs were safely outside, they thanked Colonel and Tibbs and said goodbye. Then they hurried towards London. Pongo and Perdita led the way, their 15 puppies and all the other Dalmatian pups right behind them. When they reached a frozen stream, they carefully crossed the slippery surface so they wouldn't leave paw prints. Then they resumed the race home. All along their route, the Dalmatians were helped by other dogs. A black Labrador retriever arranged for them to ride to London in a removalist van. The Dalmatians waited in a shed while the van was being fixed. Suddenly, Cruella's big car pulled up outside. Somehow she had followed their tracks. "Pongo," said Perdita, "how will we get back to the van?" Pongo noticed lots of ashes in the fireplace. "If they all rolled in the soot, they would look just like black Labradors." When the van was ready, the dogs marched outside, one after another. The soot-covered puppies were lifted into the van before Pongo had a chance to pick up the last one. A clump of snow fell from the shed onto the puppy. Pongo snatched up the pup, but the snow had washed away the soot. From her car, Cruella could see the white fur and black spots. "There they go!" she shouted as the van pulled away. Faster and faster went the van, but Cruella's car drew closer and closer. She was screaming in anger. Then she began to yell in fear. Her car skidded on the icy road. Cruella tried to stop, but her car spun round and slid into a ditch. The last the Dalmatians saw of Cruella, she was standing beside her wrecked car having a nasty temper tantrum. When the van reached the cosy little house in London, Roger and Anita were overjoyed. And when they counted all the dogs, they discovered that they now had 101 Dalmatians. "We'll buy a big place in the country," said Roger. "We'll have a Dalmatian plantation." And they did exactly that. Pongo, Perdita, and all the spotted puppies lived there happily ever after. I hope you'll join me for another story.